Buckingham Palace, an iconic symbol of British monarchy and tradition, recently delivered somber news that sent shockwaves around the globe. On a fateful day, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history, bid her final farewell to a world that had revered and admired her for over 6 decades. In the annals of history, few deaths have elicited such an outpouring sympathy and profound sorrow as that of Queen Elizabeth II. While the world has been privy to the grandeur of her ceremonial farewell and the meticulously planned details of her funeral, the exact circumstances surrounding her passing remain shrouded in mystery. Today, we invite you on a journey like never before as we lift the curtain to reveal the untold story of inside the mysterious final 24 hours of Queen Elizabeth II. What was the cause of Queen Elizabeth's death? On the 8th of September last year, a significant chapter in history unfolded at Balmoral when Queen Elizabeth II, after a prolonged period of deteriorating health and mobility challenges, breathed her last. In her final years, the Queen grappled with a persistent and debilitating discomfort, as disclosed by a close source within the royal family. This insider further revealed that Her Majesty's senses of sight and hearing had significantly diminished during the weeks leading up to her passing. The late monarch, whose remarkable reign extended beyond 7 decades, succumbed to the weight of her years at the age of 96. While certain sources, such as royal author Giles Brandreth, have asserted that Queen Elizabeth II battled bone cancer in her final days, this claim remains unverified by Buckingham Palace. Officially, her death certificate attributes her passing solely to old age. Notably, bone cancer can inflict excruciating and persistent pain, as well as impair an individual's mobility. This aligns with the palace's acknowledgement of her mobility issues in the lead up to her demise. According to reliable sources, the Queen's increasing discomfort and mobility challenges prompted her withdrawal from public engagements in her last year. Intriguingly, though never publicly photographed in a wheelchair, the Queen frequently utilized one of her private transportation, a concealed truth hidden from the prying eyes of the world, perhaps to maintain the regal image she had upheld throughout her reign. An intriguing detail emerges concerning the Queen's final appearance on the balcony of Buckingham Palace during the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. Palace staff received explicit instructions to shield the Queen's use of wheelchair from public view. This precaution stemmed from Her Majesty's personal dismay over a photograph of her sister, Princess Margaret, in a similar state, taken 6 months prior to Margaret's own passing. The emotional toll this might have taken on the Queen was substantial to the extent that she couldn't attend the Platinum Jubilee concert that weekend. Last Supper. There is another equally important detail in the last moments of her life. Just 4 days before her passing, she made a noteworthy announcement concerning a shooting party she had gracefully invited to Balmoral Castle in Scotland. In a break from tradition, the Queen revealed that Sunday night's dinner would be a more relaxed affair. Men were exempted from the usual black tie attire, and women were advised against donning long dresses. Most strikingly, she declared that there will be no flute player that evening, a marked departure from the decades long tradition of having a piper at every Balmoral Castle event. The distinguished guests at the Queen's informal dinner were her close cousins, with whom she had shared enduring bonds throughout her life. Despite her declining health in her final days, Queen Elizabeth II found solace and joy in the company of her beloved family. Even as she faced the somber reality of her approaching end, she cherished being at her cherished residence with her dear ones. Fateful moment. On the morning of September 8th, a sense of momentous events unfurling silently gripped the few inhabitants of Balmoral. Just 2 hours prior, leaning heavily on her cane, but wearing her ever familiar smile, Queen Elizabeth II had fulfilled her duty by appointing Britain's 15th and final Prime Minister Liz Truss. However, an announcement made slightly after 6 p.m. the following evening would send ripples of concern through the corridors of power. The Queen's decision to postpone a virtual privy council meeting on medical advice raised constitutional questions and signaled significant shift in her condition. Within the hallowed walls of number 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister's official residence, alarm bells would have undoubtedly rung as word of the Queen's deteriorating health reached them. That fate evening, Liz Truss had worked on her inaugural act as Prime Minister. The Energy Declaration faced the disquieting prospect that her moment in the spotlight could be overshadowed by an impending royal crisis. Shortly before 10:30 a.m., Prince Charles arrived at Balmoral, and the Duchess of Cornwall was summoned from nearby Birkhall to join him. The Princess Royal attended an engagement in Scotland, was also in attendance. In the rarefied atmosphere of the House of Commons, where discussions of the Queen were typically an afterthought, signs of something amiss began to emerge. As Truss concluded her opening speech, the new Prime Minister of the Duchy of Lancaster, Nadim Sahawi, surreptitiously entered the room and discreetly conveyed a message to Truss. MPs exchanged hushed conversations and tension gripped the chamber. The next to receive the unsettling news was the deputy leader of the Labour Party, Angela Rayner, who was handed a letter from the outside the meeting room. She passed it to the Shadow Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, both furrowing their brows in concern. The message, in straightforward language, left no room for ambiguity. The Queen is unwell, and care needs to leave the room as soon as possible to be informed. BBC reporter Hugh Edwards, donned in black tie, would be the one to break the somber news to the wider public. An evening call planned between Truss and French President Emmanuel Macron had to be cancelled as the gravity of the situation became apparent. For members of the Queen's family who were yet to arrive at Balmoral, the delicate balance of timing presented a heart-wrenching dilemma. The uncertainty surrounding the speed of the Queen's decline left them with a difficult decision: arrive prematurely and risk causing unnecessary alarm, or arrive too late, missing the precious opportunity to bid their final farewells. What were Queen Elizabeth's last words? The precise last word of Queen Elizabeth II remained a mystery, yet a poignant revelation came from her daughter, Princess Anne, in a September 2022 post on the official British royal family's Instagram account. Princess Anne shared that she had the privilege of spending the final 24 hours with her beloved mother, an experience she deemed both an honor and privilege. In her heartfelt post, she wrote, "I was fortunate to share the last 24 hours of my dearest mother's life. It has been an honor and privilege to accompany her on her final journeys." Following the Queen's passing, countless well-wishers have wondered about the Queen's ultimate words and the nature of her final moments with the British royal family. Although her last words remain undisclosed, it has been reported by 7 News that Queen Elizabeth's final public statement, after 70 years of devoted service, was a message of condolences to the Canadian public. This message was in response to a tragic stabbing incident in Saskatchewan, Canada, which claimed the lives of 10 individuals and left 18 injured in the village. It marked the Queen's final official communication with the public during her reign. The passing of Queen Elizabeth II occurred less than 2 years after the death of her beloved husband, Prince Philip, on April 9, 2021. According to reports from Hello magazine, Queen Elizabeth's last words to Prince Philip were conveyed through a handwritten card adorned with a black border, which blazed with a wreath on a coffin at his funeral. The card simply bore the heartfelt message, "In loving memory, Elizabeth." Who was present at the time of her death? At the time of Queen Elizabeth II's passing, she was surrounded by members of the British royal family, alongside Charles and Camilla, her second and third sons by Prince Philip. Prince Andrew and Prince Edward were observed arriving at Aberdeen Airport in Scotland shortly before her demise. Accompanying Prince Edward was his wife, Sophie, Countess of Wessex, and Queen's eldest grandson, Prince William. Prince Harry, the Queen's second grandson, was notably absent at Balmoral Castle until several hours after her passing. He had journeyed from Germany, where he and his wife Meghan Markle were actively promoting the Invictus Games. Meghan, however, did not accompany Harry to Balmoral Castle and remained in Germany when the Queen's passing occurred. Similarly, William's wife, Kate Middleton, was not present at Balmoral Castle as she remained in Windsor, England. The news of the Queen's death spread swiftly, with members of the royal family and various officials converging at Aberdeen Airport, landing approximately 40 minutes after her passing. As the official announcements flowed, an internal palace team worked diligently to notify critical figures without delay. These encompassed number 10 Downing Street, Lambeth Palace, the chiefs of defense staff, prime ministers, and high commissioners of the 14 other countries where the Queen had served as a former head of state. Liz Truss, dressed in mourning attire hastily procured by her assistants, made her way to the airport at 7:07 p.m. It was, she said, "The second Elizabethan era is over." It was also the end of a truly historic day. The sacred moments after Queen Elizabeth's death have left a deep mark in the hearts of the world. Join us in her memory and let us know how you feel. Like, share, and subscribe to update the latest information about the royal family. See you in the next videos.